Okay, so hello everyone. Good morning. I am Disha Palkar, and today I have with me Akshata Gandhi, who has an experience of 3 years in German language teaching, and she is a C2 level German teacher, and she has done her bachelor's in biotechnology, and her hobbies are reading and traveling. So welcome.
Yeah. Hello, Disha. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Are the in-depth discussions in German language or in-depth discussion in interactive activities in a German class, are they missing somewhere?
Mhm. Yeah. So I would say that activities as such are not missing. Yeah. Many people take activities to make the class more interactive. But I would say in-depth discussions are indeed missing. Yeah. Which I think are really important in order to understand the students. Yeah? When we have in-depth discussions with students, we can connect well with them, we can understand them, we can get to know more about them, or their weaknesses and their strengths. And when we can understand those, I think we can give proper attention to those students, and we can deal with those weaknesses and try to convert them into strengths. Yeah. So in-depth discussions are indeed really important. Like when I was doing my C1 C2 course, we used to have a lot of in-depth discussions, and that would help us to know about other people. Yeah. About everyone. Yeah. About the people in our class and all. So I think it's really important, and I do try to do that in my classes, not very often, but whenever we can. Yeah, whenever we get a chance to talk about different topics other than the German language, I try to do that, because that way I can really understand my students well also. It's just teaching is not important, I feel. Also, this connection with the students, talking with them, getting to know them better is really important.
Yeah, so which interactive activities do you have in your class so that the you get to know the students better, and also the content is delivered very smoothly? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say interactive activities in the sense we talk about random topics. I'm flexible with all the topics in the class. I've already told the students that we can talk about anything that you want. So you can talk to me about your personal life or general discussions about various topics. Yeah. I'm open to all the topics. Even if I don't have knowledge about a particular topic, I would be open to that, because that way even I would get some knowledge from the students as well. Yeah. So I'm open to any topics. For example, let's say we can talk about nature, traveling, anything, yeah, any topic. So no topic is as such restricted or anything. Yeah.
Do you use some kind of sites or YouTube videos to get to know more about the topics, about politics, about, yeah,
Yes,
any
I
other?
do use. If we decide to have a discussion in the class related to those topics, I try to do my own research on those topics so that even I can actually participate. Yeah. So if there is a particular topic which I don't like, then I would say I would still love to discuss on those topics, because that way even I'll get more knowledge about it. So I try to research those topics right before the class. Yeah. And then we can actually, then I actually have discussion with my students in that. So I generally don't suggest the topics to the students. I tell them to suggest me the topics. Yeah, and according to whatever topics they suggest me, we have random discussions. So that also helps in speaking. Yeah, and the discussions are mostly in German, obviously, so that they can also, improve their expression part. Yeah. So rarely it is in English, but yeah.
Yeah. So do you promote exam oriented exam preparation, or just for learning?
Yeah. Exam preparation is okay, because yeah, many students want to give the exam. That is understandable, because they need certificate and all in order to go to Germany. But I always tell them that do not just learn the course keeping the exam in the mind. Yeah, that is really important, that you try to actually, I mean, okay, exams are important, I get it, but I would say that if you just learn exam oriented, the learning will be really restricted. Yeah, it will be a limited type of learning where you're just concentrating on the exams, on the exam parts. So I would suggest them to learn more creative. Exam is just a part of the course, that's okay, but your entire focus should not be on the exam. That is what is really important. And obviously I do take exam preparation and all during the course as well as after the course, but that's not the only main thing. Yeah, I think other things are important, like learning through different methods, learning through creative methods, like I would say videos, learning through songs, German series, reading novels. All those methods are equally important, role plays and stuff in the class, or conducting quizzes. Yeah. So all those things are important in order to make the students learn the language in a fun way. Exam is just a part of it, but it should not be very important. Yeah, exam marks and all these are all secondary things, I would say. You need to have feel the deep connection with the language. That is really important in order to learn the language. If you just keep on thinking about the exam and then learn the language, maybe you will never develop that connection with the language as well. So I think that is really important, that connection that you have with the language. Yeah.
So which videos or which films do you see, or any other any name suggestions?
Any like I would say, yeah. So I watched a few videos which I myself learned in Goethe Institute when I was learning the language. Yeah? So I try to show my students those kind of videos. There are many videos on YouTube, and many song videos. Mostly I refer to Kinder Leader, yeah, because they are actually really helpful and they're fun, so that even students enjoy. Yeah, and they're easy to understand. So that's why I try to refer those. Series, yeah, there are actually very less series, I would say, on YouTube. The usual series like Nico's Weg, Mein Weg nach Deutschland, and those series. There are just not many, but yeah, I try to do those in the class. And then after listening to the series, maybe I try to tell them to explain me what happened in that particular episode in their own words. Yeah. So most of my activities, I try to focus them around expression, because that is what the students fear the most. Yeah, speaking out. Yeah, so I try to focus my activities mostly around expression, so that they'll also get a bit of confidence in speaking, because that is where I think most of the students lack. They're good with lesen part, they're good with hören part, they're also good with schreiben. But when it comes to expression, the confidence goes to zero. And I can totally understand that, because that is something even I've experienced while learning the language initially. So, but I think getting back that confidence into them, the speaking confidence, is really important. I mean, it's okay if they do mistakes. That's not a big deal. I, in fact, tell them that it's okay to do mistakes. But the important thing is try to speak. Yeah, no matter how many mistakes you do or whatever, you just have to keep on trying to speak. That is how you will actually excel in expression.
So do you plan some stage activities or something to to give them confidence, or
Yes,
remove their stage
sometimes
fear?
yes. With online, obviously, it's not possible. But yeah, when it is offline, maybe sometimes we do role play activities. I call two students in the front and I tell them to just do a role play activity. Role play in the sense the general situations, the everyday situations, right? Like for example, going to a restaurant and ordering something, going to a supermarket, how will you speak? Or if you go to a hospital, yeah. So those activities are very important again, I think. And yeah, I do tell them to come in the front and, do those activities. Obviously, they hesitate and, that is understandable. But yeah, it's good to, make them come forward and do them, so that, it will be a good practice for them as well. And they can develop that confidence in speaking.
Okay. And do you include their mother tongue in introducing German words or phrases or Redewendungen?
Yeah, sometimes yes. Mostly I try not to, compare it with English, because then it becomes really difficult for the students to understand, because English and German are not very similar, I would say. German is more similar to Marathi or Hindi. But then, yeah, this is one problem that I face in my class sometimes, because there are some students who cannot speak Marathi or Hindi. Yeah. So that time it sorts of becomes a bit difficult to make them understand it in English. But I try to do it as much as possible, but not word to word. I totally tell them that, I totally do not support translation in the class. Yeah. So I tell them that, there are particular German rules. You have to try to follow them while making the sentence. Comparison is okay, but mostly not with English. Yeah, the comparison should be with Hindi or Marathi. And if you're not able to speak Hindi or Marathi, then I think, maybe try to follow German rules as much as possible right from the start. That is the only way I could suggest. English, it is sometimes similar, but most of the times it does not really help. Yeah, comparing the language with English. But yeah, sometimes I do give them mother tongue references, mostly Marathi or Hindi, so that they can understand the concept better. Because most of the grammar rules and all most of the German grammar rules are same like Hindi and Marathi. So I try to sometimes compare it so that they'll understand it better.
Okay. So do you introduce Norman Verbindungen or some concepts with the help of concepts or a story or a
Yeah.
concept? Of, yeah.
Mhm. I think when it comes to Nomen Web Verbindung, it is very important to use it very often. Like, you cannot, I mean, if you want to understand a Nomen Web Verbindung, you cannot just take a Nomen Web Verbindung in German, check its English meaning, and then try to use it. That is kind of difficult, and it's kind of difficult to remember also. So I would say that you have to try to use it in weird situations or in different stories, like we used to do, like I used to do while learning German. Yeah, we were taught this method in Goethe Institute, that take maybe 4 or 5 Nomen Web Verbindung and build out a complete story out of them. So that way, you remember the context better because you have used it yourself in a story. You remember the story, and so then when you remember the story, you will automatically able to remember that, yeah, in the story at this point of time, I'd use this Nomen Web Verbindung. Yeah, so using it very often is very important. Yeah, while speaking also, or in stories, I would say, or in the texts that you write, the normal texts that you write, maybe you can try using it there as well. Yeah, but just writing it down and writing the English meaning, or just remembering the English meaning is not sufficient. Most of the people do that. They'll just check the Nomen Web Verbindung, check the English meaning, and that's it. But I think that doesn't help a lot. For short term, it is okay, but to remember it for a longer term, I think you have to try to use it very, very often. Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of
And
using the normal verbs, maybe you can try to use Nomen Web Verbindung so that your texts also look a bit different and a bit more beautiful instead of just the usual. Yeah.
while I was in Goethe Institute, there was one activity that there were two teams and they were asked Norman Verbindungen, and the one who knows raises the hand, and then there was a competition who which team answers quickly. So do you find that helpful?
Yes, such
Just
activities are always helpful. Yeah, always helpful because see, I would also tell one more activity that we did to learn the articles. Yeah, so we used to make two teams. Okay, and we used to put three chairs in the front. One was named there, one was the, one was thus. So two teams. Okay, and the teacher just gives one noun, and the first team who goes to that respective chair. For example, let's say coolie. Yeah, coolie is masculine. So you have to go to the their chair. So two people are there, right? So whoever reaches that chair first, yeah, that person wins. Okay. So that way you can easily remember it, I feel. I mean, I have personally experienced this. I can learn that way better through these kind of activities. Yeah. Because I remember all the scenarios very carefully in my head, very properly in my head, that we had done this, we had played this game. So that way it helps to learn better instead of just the usual monotonous way where we just write down the words, the meanings, and learn them, learn the tables and all. That's really boring, I feel. So such activities are really important, such games. Yeah. And that is what I really love about Goethe Institute as well. That in A1 they used to take so many games. With those games you could actually learn. So I make it a point to take those games in my class. It's not possible in online class actually, but in my offline classes, I make it a point that I keep separate time just reserved for those games or those activities, at least 15 to 20 minutes, so that the students also enjoy. And I don't necessarily take it towards the start of the class or towards the end. It depends on the class mood. Yeah. If the students are really bored to do some grammar topic, let's say, so I encourage them to, I encourage or motivate the class by taking different activities in between, so that they also have a break from all the grammar, from all the usual things. Yeah, so that is important to actually check the students' mood. And because see, what happens is sometimes students are not interested to study some days. Yeah, so on those days, I think maybe we should not force it, that no, let's study because I have to complete the portion and all that. I think that is absolutely not good, at least when you're learning a language. So it is important that if the students are not feeling like learning, maybe you can just give a free class in the sense, maybe you can play games related to German itself, so that way they'll learn something. Or maybe you can just have random conversations on different topics, like I said, when they are not in a mood to learn. So that is important. Forceful learning will not even help them, because if they're not in a mood only to learn, how can you teach, right? I mean, even if you teach, they'll not understand anything. So it's important to give them a break if they feel like not learning.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I am talking about reading now. So, how to find the meaning of a word in a context, or is it always necessary to see a dictionary while reading?
Okay, reading, yeah, I would say it is not necessary to see a dictionary. In fact, I would suggest that stop using dictionary as much as possible when you're reading. I mean, obviously, some words are really new and you can check some words, but you will find so many new words in a text, right? So you cannot keep on checking every word. Otherwise, the text loses all its essence. Yeah, then you'll just not understand what you're reading anymore, because every single line there is a new word and you're checking the new word always. Then you'll just forget what the sentence was, what they're trying to say. That meaning loses. I mean, I personally, when I read something in English or German, there are a few words which I don't understand, but it's okay. Try to understand them through the context, because it's boring for me to always go to the dictionary and check the word. Yeah, because that way I just lose the connection with what I'm reading. So I think understanding the words through context is really important. You can check some words, that's okay, but but don't get into the habit of seeing a new word and checking it immediately. That does not help you. Then you cannot really use your brain to understand what the word is, because you have got so habituated to it that you are getting everything ready made. This is the new word, just go and check it. So that is something you should avoid. Yeah, not always keep on checking the new words. Try to understand them through the context. That is more important. Some words, okay, check it, but not always, otherwise it's a bit boring. Yeah, so I would totally suggest that understand the word through the context. Yeah, try to and it's very easy to understand the word through context. Yeah, most of the times I find it easy. So if you develop that habit, it will actually help you. Yeah, because there are so many words and practically it's impossible to learn all the words, also all the meanings, and this is just not and this is not true just in case of German, but it's also true in case of English. So I would say just let the words be. You don't have to understand all the words. It's absolutely not important. Sometimes it's only important to understand what they're trying to say. Yeah, going through each and every word is okay. I mean, yeah, you sometimes students think, yeah, that is I mean, even I used to think that there are so many new words, I don't want to miss on any words. I have to understand all the words, every single word. I have to check it in the dictionary so that I'll have a lot of vocabulary. But the thing is, it does not help. It has never helped me, at least. That I keep on searching all the words and using them. So now what I do is I try not to search the words and just read, just go with the, yeah. Sometimes some word is important in order to understand the context of sentence. Maybe check that word, but don't keep on checking it every time, is what I would say.
So while I was in B2.1, I did the same thing, that my notebook is full with all the meanings and all. I used to write down the Einsprachige meanings of the words. Like in German, I used to write down the meanings. I thought that would help, but it did
Yeah,
not help.
most of the people do that, right? They keep on writing all the words always. They see a new word and they write it and the meaning. Yeah. So that does not help. But yeah, sometimes Einsprachige, when you use Einsprachige Wörterbuch, that helps, I feel. Yeah, because then you're totally seeing the meaning in German. Yeah, so that sometimes helps. So I would always suggest a Einsprachige Wörterbuch over a Zweisprachige Wörterbuch, and that is kind of important, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think to naturalize the process, we need to speak more German. And which are those platforms? What platforms do you suggest so that we practice our German speaking skills?
Actually, unfortunately, for speaking, there are no platforms as such. Yeah. For writing, for reading, you get so many sources. But for speaking, unfortunately, there are no platforms. All you can do is maybe talk with your classmates. Yeah. Whenever you're learning a language, try to talk more in the class. That is the only thing I can suggest, because otherwise it's difficult to talk, right, when you're at home or something, because others don't know German language. So I would suggest that talk more in the class. Yeah, be more interactive in the class. Yeah, so there are some students, I've gotten some students before, who used to make a lot of mistakes, but what I really used to like about them was they used to still take efforts to talk, yeah, in spite of whatever mistakes they used to make. And I think exactly that is what is really very important, like I've mentioned before. Yeah, make mistakes, that's okay. Many people make mistakes, it's completely fine, but the important thing is try to speak no matter how many mistakes you make. So for speaking, I would suggest that try to communicate with your friends who are learning German. Yeah, try to communicate more in class. maybe, approach native Germans if you can through different apps like, Instagram and all. So much people are so active on those apps. Yeah. So you can just approach random Germans. Or there is this one app that I used to use. I don't use it anymore. It's called as Hello Talk. Yeah. And there I used to just chat with Germans. It's actually a pretty good app for writing, wherein you just chat with native Germans and they correct you wherever you go wrong. Yeah. So through that app, I actually got to know a few Germans, and now we are also in contact. Yeah. I mean, we sometimes have video calls, rarely, but we do have those video calls. So that also helps. Yeah. When you have native Germans to speak to, that really helps. Yeah, with the Aussprache, listening to them again and again. So it really helps with the Aussprache, speaking and on. So I would suggest, yeah, Hello Talk is a good app, I would say. Maybe Instagram, you can connect with random native Germans, those who are interested, obviously. Yeah? That is a good thing. But the thing is, to practice speaking, you have to just keep on speaking more with your friends, interacting. The interaction is really important. So trying not to be shy and interacting is something that is really very important, I would say. That is the only thing. As such, otherwise there is no platform.
So the platform is Hello Talk.
Hello Talk.
HELLO.
Yes. Hello Talk.
LLO.
Yeah.
HELLOTALK.
Yes. Hello Talk. Yeah.
So is accent training very important in the Aussprache of German?
Yeah.
Or
German Aussprache is very important. Like, I would like to give a personal example here. I never knew the importance of Aussprache until I did my C2 course. Yeah. Actually, never. I mean, they don't really give so much importance to Aussprache as much as I've seen. Yeah. Even when I was doing the courses, not much importance was given to Aussprache. Speaking, okay, correcting you, fine. They used to do that, but Aussprache was never given a lot of importance. When I came in my C2, I understood the importance of Aussprache, and that is the time when I actually started taking it really seriously. Yeah, I understood how important it was, and I started using different methods to improve my Aussprache. Some of them are, I would say, lautes vorlesen. Yeah, it's very important. And second, I would say is maybe you can, you can just try to record yourself. Yeah, you can listen to your voice after recording, then you can understand where you have done mistakes. And third method was this was suggested to me by my teacher, and and it really helped me. It takes a lot of time, but this method is called as auswendig lernen, which means you need to take a small text, a German text. Obviously, you have to try to learn it by heart. Yeah, you have to learn it by heart to see where they are pausing, yeah, how they are pronouncing a particular word, every single thing, and you have to try to repeat it with them. Yeah, whatever they are speaking, very small text, let's say a 1 minute text or something. You have to try to learn it by heart. You have to see where they're pausing, how they speak every word, every sentence, and you have to try to imitate them. Yeah, so this method has really helped me a lot for my Aussprache. So this is what I try to do in my classes. Sometimes I try to tell the students that it's really very important, because when I was in A1 or A2, whatever Aussprache activities were there, see, in Netzwerk book, they have a few Aussprache questions, yeah, like how to pronounce ER, AR, UR, all those, yeah. So I myself have, I never took it seriously when I was in A1 level, A1 or A2. So now I try to tell my students how important it is, and whenever possible, I try to tell them some rules of Aussprache. Yeah? That this is, for example, let's say if B comes at the end of the word, it's pronounced as per. Or if D comes at the end of the word, it's pronounced as ster. So that is really important, I feel. I don't give them a set of rules and learn this, but no, that doesn't help. But maybe while reading, when they're reading some texts aloud, I try to correct the Aussprache by saying that, this is the rule. Maybe, you can try to remember, try to use it frequently. But it needs a lot of practice, is what I would say. You have to give a lot of time for that. Aussprache doesn't come in 1 or 2 days. Yeah? You have to practice a lot. And by Aussprache, I don't mean just pronouncing the words properly and correctly, but also, where to pause. You should know that. If it's a sentence, how it should be spoken. If it's a question, how it should be spoken. Yeah. So all those things are also really important, and they are included in the Aussprache. So yeah, I would say it's a pretty important part, and students should concentrate on it right from the start. I feel not very seriously. You don't have to know all the rules, but you have to try to focus on that as well.
Yes. And how do you decide your learning outcomes? What do you expect at the starting of the class? What how do you decide your expectations from the class that they should learn something,
Mhm.
this thing today? Like how do you decide that?
You mean more like a class plan or something?
The learning outcomes, what should be the conclusion of this class and what should they learn eventually? How do you decide that? Or does it depend upon the age group of a class? When they are small they cannot learn more,
Mhm.
but when they are adults they can stretch themselves and learn more. So how do you decide the amount of the activities or the amount of the learning stuff
Yeah.
that will be conducted in a class?
Yeah. So, see, if it's a A1 or a A2 class, and irrespective of what the age group is, yeah, I always would like to try the activities at the very basic level. Yeah, like for example, I would, even if the person is, let's say, 40 years old, yeah, I would try to take kids activities more, because I feel through those activities only you can learn a language better, a new language. Yeah. So irrespective of what the age group is, of how old or how young the student is, I would always like to take kids activities, yeah, or kids videos I would like to show, because that is what helps the most at the basic level. Yeah, that is what I feel. So I think yeah, showing those kind of videos, yeah, or like I already said, no, kinder leader and all, I would try to do all, I would like to try those activities more, yeah, so that they can learn it better. Yeah, like even if you're learning ABCD simple, yeah, a ABCD song would be helpful for them to understand ABCD better, yeah, the pronunciations and all. So I think taking those activities is more helpful, yeah, for all the age groups. So I would not take any difficult activity or anything, yeah, because obviously it's start of the language, and so I would like to take such kind of activity. And my mostly I would like a positive outcome where the students are speaking at least something at the end of the class, just a simple sentence they can form, yeah, that would actually make me happy to see them speak, to see them communicate, to see them learn something, a new word, let's say, and using it in the next class maybe.
Like I am teaching the small kids these days, like but they take time to open up. If someone is 16 years old, they take time to open up and participate in the class. So do you have some solution so that they take part in the class very actively?
Okay. Yeah. So here I think bonding plays a very important role. How you bond with your students. Okay. You have to try to be very open to them. You have to try to be very free, very very friendly. Yeah. If you're strict, for example, let's say you are really strict. Yeah. Then they will not try to open up to you, because it will be very difficult to approach them. They'll be scared before asking anything. Yeah. This is something that I have experienced once. Uh, so I had this really good teacher, and I used to really admire her, but the thing is, she was a bit strict. So it was difficult for me to approach her to ask her doubts. Yeah. So this is what happens when you try to be strict. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't even, you should not even be very over friendly, but being friendly is really important, so that the students think that, they have this feeling that maybe they can open up, they can share with you, and then they can participate in the activity. So you have to give a bit of personal attention to every student. That is not possible if the class is really big. If it's of 15 or 20 students, then it could be a bit of difficulty. But if you don't have many students, let's say you just have 5 to 10 students, then you have to try to give personal attention to every student. Maybe try to, let's say you are observing that this one student does not speak a lot in the class. Then maybe you can have a one-to-one discussion with the student, not in front of the class, obviously, but you can later on after the class, you can actually approach the student. You can have a one-on-one discussion, and you can ask him or her what her or his problems are, yeah, why he or she is not speaking in the class. But you have to approach the student in a very friendly way, like give them the feeling that you are their friend. Yeah. That, I think, professional approach over here does not help most of the times. Yeah? I don't like to be professional with the students. Yeah, I try to be as friendly as possible. I think that is really very important, so that they can open up, they can ask doubts freely. That freedom you need to give the students. Yeah, so they should not feel that, this teacher is really strict. I can't ask her anything. I can't talk about anything. Yeah. So in general, they should be able to talk to you, not just about the language, but anything, what even anything personal. Yeah, they should be able to talk. And only when you give personal attention to them, ask them why they are not participating in stuff, maybe they'll feel included in the class. So each and every student needs to be felt included in the class. Yeah, that is what is important. And once they think that you're friendly and they can open up, they will automatically start taking part in activities also. You have to kind of push them sometimes. Yeah, so some students are like they are shy. I myself was a very shy student, so I think sometimes you need to push them instead of just ignoring them, that this guy is not talking, let it be, let's just talk to other students. Yeah, so instead of doing that, I think pushing the students is a bit important. Keep on pushing them most of the times. Yeah.
And how do you motivate the students when they are not participating, or any like any measures or any methods to motivate the student?
Yeah, motivate the students. Okay, that's a good question actually. Maybe well, like I said, I think yeah, sometimes the students are maybe not interested in the activities. I think you have to try to force them sometimes. Obviously that is not a good method always, but that pushing is a bit important. Yeah, I feel so. That is how you can motivate, or just talk to them. Yeah, talk to them and try to motivate them related to the language. Try to make them feel comfortable that it's okay, all other students are your friends. Yeah, so you don't have to be shy. So just trying to talk to them, trying to push them a bit, I think that would motivate them. Yeah, that is how you can actually motivate them. Yeah, or maybe trying to ask them what they like to do most, and trying to do activities related to that sometimes, so that even that person feels included. Yeah, so something like that you can do, I feel.
And a different question, how do you prefer comprehension, like while speed reading, while increasing your speed of reading? Do you lay importance on the comprehension, or you just go on reading and whatever is grasped by the mind is okay? Somewhere I have heard that you need to compromise on the comprehension and understanding to increase the speed of reading.
Mhm.
So do you do that?
Yes, if it comes to see, this again needs a bit of practice. Yeah, if you want to really read fast, then yeah, sometimes you miss on some things. You'll not understand everything. Yeah. So if you want to understand something in depth, if you want to analyze something, then slow reading is important. Yeah. But if you're just reading a novel just for fun or something, then I think to read fast, yeah, when you read fast, sometimes the meaning gets lost. Yeah. But it is also important to understand the meaning, right? Otherwise, the reading won't make any sense. But it's okay if you go missing on some things. Yeah, it's absolutely
Mm.
okay. But not when you want to analyze some text or something. And slow reading plays a very important part. Yeah? But for fast reading practice, sometimes I think you need to read fast. Yeah. So, and in that way, you sometimes lose the meaning, but it's okay. Not every sentence is also important. Yeah. So it's completely fine.
Mm. And which German books do you read? Have you read or do you read even
Actually,
now?
yeah, at the moment, yeah, there are basic German novels at A1, A2 level, because that is what I teach the students. Yeah, so I have read those. Mostly they are from Uber Fella, yeah, the Uber publication. And yeah, what I have read is, I have not read many books actually in German, just two or three. Yeah, from the Goethe Institute Library, I borrowed them. So yeah, I've just read two or three. So as such, I would not be able to suggest any book, but yeah, if you're at a higher level, I would suggest the Kleiner Prince. Yeah, because we have done an in-depth analysis of that book, and I really, really love that book in German. Yeah. So yeah, those kind of books. And mostly if you're at A1, A2, B1 level, I would say the Uber publication books are really very helpful, because they have interesting stories. They're short stories or something, and they're not even that long, just 50 pages or so. So they are really very helpful, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you ensure that the job going people do their homework or learn something at the end of the day or practice?
Hmm?
They don't have the time to do the homework.
Yes. So for such people, I try to take more practice in the class. I don't make homework compulsory because I understand that, work is stressful and all, and after that they can't really do. I mean, I try to push them as much as I can from my side, but if they're still not able to do, then I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not really very strict with the homework thing. Then I try to tell them to do it in the class. But after all, at the end of the day, it's important that you practice on your own as well. Yeah. So in that case, if you're a working professional, then maybe you can try to dedicate more time to it on weekends. So I try to give more homework on Fridays generally, so that they can complete it over weekend, and maybe on Mondays we can discuss. Yeah. So I don't give homework every day, because yeah, I understand that like they cannot do it, they don't have the time every day. But I try to give it to them generally on weekends, so that at least then they can concentrate. But I also try to tell them that it is important that you give extra time to the language, that whatever we learn in the class is okay, but that is not what helps you a lot. Yeah, when you practice on your own, that is something that will help you a lot, because then you'll understand where you're lacking, what you're good at. Yeah. So everything actually cannot be done in the class, but I try to do maximum things in the class, like at least whatever are important, so that they'll be able to speak, or they'll be able to improve their language skills. So I try to do most of the things, but obviously doing everything is also not possible for me. So I try to tell them that, maybe you can dedicate more time on weekends. That way, maybe, you can get better with the language. But like doing homework is not exactly compulsory, I would say.
Okay. And what do you suggest to include more sentence structure into the sentences, like participes, why, then many sentence structures or connectors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, for that also, again, you have to analyze a text very well. Let's say take some text, yeah, try to read the text, try to see what kind of sentences they are building. Yeah? So each and every sentence should not start in the same way. Like, let's say you're starting it with a personal pronoun, then a verb, and then continuing the sentence. That becomes like very monotonous when you keep on using starting the sentences in the same way. Let's say you're using ish, you're using z always at the start of the sentence. It's so boring for the reader as well. Yeah, when someone is reading your text, it becomes really monotonous. Yeah. So that makes really important to analyze the texts to see what all topics they're actually using, what all grammar topics. Let's say, are they using relative zats, or sometimes they're replacing a relative zats with participle eins or the participle zwei als adjective. So that kind of things you have to try to do. And you'll do those only when you, let's say, take a text and actually analyze it very carefully for 1 or 2 hours. uh, Through that you can learn words, that's okay. But the second thing is, you get to know what kind of what kind of structures these people are using, and if you can use those structures, if you can use those words instead of using the same words again and again. Yeah. So that analyzation of the text is really very important, I feel. Yeah. So you can just take short text. They don't have to be a very long one. You can try to see what kind of sentences they write. Maybe you can practice making those kind of sentences. Yeah, but they should start in a different way. Don't let it always start in the same way. Yeah? But that takes a lot of practice, I would say. At least start, and then you will go with the flow. Yeah, starting this thing is really important. And how to make different sentences, I think writing every day also helps in that. Yeah, when you write every day about random topics, then you kind of understand, yeah, like what kind of sentences you can use. Yeah, not to always start the sentence in the same way. Yeah, these are some things that you have to really take care of. Yeah, otherwise the text becomes really monotonous, it's boring for the reader as well. Yeah, so these are some of the Schreiben practices that one needs to practice. But that you can do only if you practice writing also every day. Just few things. Like, we used to do this morning pages activity. Yeah. When we were in our C2 level, we used to just do these morning pages activities. We used to write on random topics every day. Sometimes it used to take a lot of time, because you have to think on how to make different kinds of sentences, on how to make your text more attractive to the reader. Yeah, so it takes a lot of time. But once you start, I think you can go with that flow. So
Yeah.
reading is something I would really suggest, yeah, in this case, so that you understand different kind of sentence structures that are made. And also a bit of understanding of the grammar would help, sir.
Okay. And at the end of the interview, can you give some information about your classes? Where do you take the classes, or what is the name of your classes and all?
Yeah, so actually, I take private classes. I don't have any institute as such. So I have not given a proper name yet, but when I start institute, yeah, obviously I will. And yeah, that is my dream actually, to start my own institute. But as of now, I take classes on Zoom. Yeah, they
Okay.
are all online classes. So I take it on Zoom, and offline I used to take it at my place itself, at my home. Yeah, but offline maybe
Okay.
I will start next year, not this year, next year maybe. But as of now, I'm taking classes on Zoom. So I
So,
provide like different courses, A1, A2, B1, B2. But apart from that, I also provide special expression courses. Yeah, just expression, where we just speak about different topics. Yeah, and those are actually my favorite type of courses, because I get to know the student very well through those courses. We talk about random things. Yeah, about random topics like Umweltschutz, let's say. They like how do they like how or what do they think about it? So different kinds of topics are there in the class. And let's say about Ryzen also sometimes. Yeah, what is your favorite place, or where do you like to travel, or what are your hobbies, why is this particular thing your hobby? Different topics. Yeah, so I try to take expression classes. Yeah, I also had a special grammar course where I used to only focus on grammar. Aussprache course I have not yet taken, but I'm planning to start that as well. So that wherein we can just concentrate on the Aussprache. So I'm thinking of starting that as well very soon.
so do you have your website?
No, not yet, not yet. But yeah,
Okay.
I will definitely make it once I start our own institute of mine. I'll do all these things as well. I'm planning to do them in the near future. Yeah.
Okay. And those who are interested can search on LinkedIn, Akshata Gandhi. You have your own promotional
Yes.
videos
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. On LinkedIn as well as on Instagram, I have a proper German account, Kunst zum Ausdruck, where I share my German videos and German texts. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Akshata, for
Yes.
joining the interview.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wish to meet you soon
Yeah. Yeah.
personally.
Same here. Same here. Thank you for having me. It was really wonderful. Yeah. Talking to you. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.